What happens when the very thing you almost walked away from is the thing that is actually your purpose? Welcome to Vegas Unmuted. I'm Shaquilla Cahoon, your host and author of the upcoming book, The Root on the Rise, Winning from the Ground Up. This podcast is all about the stories, the successes, and the struggles of what makes Vegas more than just bright lights. So let's turn you up. This is season 2, and I'm so excited. Our first guest here is Breanna, a D1 athlete and a coach who's now helping women with her nonprofit to strive on and off the court. So Breanna, I'm so excited to have you here on Vegas Unmuted. Welcome.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yay. So normally I like to just go straight into the guest, right? Who is Breanna? How did you get to this space? And kind of just free flow.
Okay. So I guess fast forward to where I am right now. I run a nonprofit organization, as you said. It's called Master the Game LV. And it started, honestly, from when I was young. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, so I'm a Midwest girl. And then my mom moved out to Vegas, and that was like the first big change in my life. And really struggled with change. And then I kind of found my tribe, like with basketball. So my dad played professionally, and he was a referee in the NBA for a while before he retired. So I kind of felt that pressure and when I was young. And then also my brother, he was just like a city standout from where I'm from for basketball. So when I was growing up, everyone would say, you're going to be like your brother. You're going to be like just like your dad. And I'm like, I hate basketball. I don't want to. They sweat too much. I was just finding any reason to just not want to hoop. And then so I was a cheerleader, and I moved out to Vegas. So, I mean, in 6th, 7th grade, I'm like 5'9", probably 5'10", in middle school. And one of the coaches that see me at that middle school out here, she was just like, girl, what are you doing over here on the sideline? You need to be on the court. And at that point, I was like, okay, like maybe it's time for me to actually just accept the fact that it's in my blood and I need to just do it.
Yeah.
So I made a deal with my mom, and I'm like, okay, well, if you let me cheer for 1 year, then I'll like take basketball serious. So starting 7th grade summer, I took basketball serious. I played club, AAU, and I went to Centennial High School here in Vegas. And so that's when everything kind of came together for me, and I found my own lane. Like there was apart from my brother or apart from my dad. Like I found my passion for it. And then that's when I just kind of started to thrive.
And take it serious, from that moment.
Yeah.
How was the cheerleading, by the way? Just curious.
First of all, if I wasn't a basketball player, I still think I could back up dance for Beyonce or like, I don't know, just do something.
Oh, so dancing is
that's
like
how
a
it was
talent
when
too.
I was young. Yeah.
Oh,
My friends, making up dances when you're a kid with your family and all that. That's how we were to like everything, making up steps and like different stuff. So yeah, that's where my heart is. But you just kind of have to go into what fits you at the time. So I'm like, basketball is my life. So.
Okay, wow. And that's big because one of the things I look at is when you go from, like I said in the question, is like, how do you go from, I don't like this thing to now it's like, whoa, this is my life. And I know you touched on it a little bit, like saying you found your lane, but what was that transition like for you?
It was a struggle, honestly. And I think it was more of like being away from my family, those types of things, moving from the Midwest all the way, to the West Coast. But I think when I went back to basketball, it was, like I said, it was separate because I wasn't home anymore. So I'm like, I'm in this new place and nobody really knows me. And like now I have an opportunity to do something for myself. So whether or not I do good or bad or whatever, it's me versus me. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And then I just kind of took off from there. Like I have a love for the game, natural love for the game because I've been around it my whole life. So X's and O's and like basketball stuff has always been easy for me to see when I watch the game. So then it was just like me actually doing stuff, which was a struggle too because I was lazy like when I was younger. So and I played for coaches who were like honest, straight up about where you needed to get better, which was a great thing because some coaches are afraid to like tell kids what they need to do to get better because, they might just not like that. Maybe they don't like you showing a mirror pretty much
to see what needs to be fixed.
Yeah. And so after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm tired of being told that I'm lazy, like, you know, and I'm like, okay, so something needs to change. And I was just talking to one of my mentees yesterday, because I really, you know, doing this work with these kids, I actually find that it's kind of like therapeutic for me too.
Right.
Because I have to tap into the real reasons behind, you know, like my journey and my process that I don't really think about.
Right.
So I told her, I'm like, well, at some point I was like, you know, this isn't for anybody else. This isn't for my mom. This isn't for, you know, my brother and my dad. This is for me. So instead of trying to be perfect because a coach is yelling at me, or because my teammates are tired of running for me when I keep making mistakes or like different things, I took ownership of my process, and I was like, no, like I should be doing this for myself. I should be trying to be first in all the running, or I should not want to mess up, or I should want to know all the plays just because I want to be the best Bree. It shouldn't be because of all these other things.
Right.
So when I made that decision, and that took a while, like I would say that took like the first 2.5 years like of high school. And I also had injuries in that. Like I tore my ACL twice in high school. Yikes. So a lot of like different mental things. And then my junior year, my brother passed away. Yeah, so that was a lot.
Oh,
like
I'm so sorry.
It was a lot. So it's just brings me all back to what I do now. I'm like, I went through so much, like just in high school. I got like, we're not even talking about everything I went through in college yet. So just going through that and knowing that girls need help and need mentorship, like, oh, like that's what I want to do.
Yeah. And I love, there's so much to unpack. And we're just getting started. So just to go back a little bit, obviously that was a lot. You taking that on, having to go through that while you're still doing the sport, right? You said one thing, and I'm trying to, not the passing of your brother, but before that, it was like
injuries.
Yeah. So the injuries that you had, obviously mentally, that took a toll. Because were you thinking, am I going back? Am I going?
No, like I'm all basketball all the time. So, and even like my friends, the first time I toured, of course, you know, you're going to come back. The second time I toured, they're like, oh no, like I'd be out, I'd be done. And I would think that, but then once you go through the process of like rehabbing and physical therapy, at some point, if you love the game, you miss it. And you're like, okay, like I'm itching to get back out there. Like I'm competitive. I see my teammates playing. I want to get out there. I want to help them. So at some point, I was just like, I can't be away from this for this long.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Right. And that helped you obviously say, all right, mentally, this is hard, but I got to do what I have to do. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that was high school. You went through even a loss, right? And a lot of people, that type of experience, it's like, I'm done with everything. Yeah. Life is just, and you were close with your brother, right? And
and I mean, honestly, he's the one that inspires my basketball journey. He's the one that taught me how to play basketball. He was definitely like my figure for like what it means to be a solid basketball player. Mm-hmm. And even though I didn't really want to do it when I was younger, I watched him do it. I was at his tournaments, all of that. So when that loss happened, it made me hard. I always say like, there's this book, I'm trying to remember, I can't remember the title right now, but it's a story about an egg, an egg. I'm so mad I'm spacing on this.
It's okay.
It's like what happens when you put an egg in boiling water. Like you get hard.
Oh, yeah, I think I've seen that.
Like, yeah, it's a really good book. But it's like pretty much who are you as an individual?
Right.
There's another thing when you put it in there, it gets soft and it, you know, like, but what happens? Oh, it's called the coffee bean. Duh. Okay, there you go. It's
see, I knew it was going to come.
Yeah. And then what happens when you put a coffee bean in hot boiling water, it makes coffee. So for me, when I lost my brother, like I mean, probably up until I graduated college and even through my journey now, I was very hard, like very shut off from my emotions. I didn't want to make connection with anybody because then that turned into like a fear of losing other people.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was difficult to get out of that. And then I didn't realize that I needed to change. if I wanted something different or better for myself until I started getting into coaching, which I think is like the best profession because it really stretches you.
Yeah.
You have to be able to build relationships and communicate. You have to know how to reach players on different levels. You have to know how to run a business. I mean, it really stretches you in all aspects. So after a while, it was like being hard isn't working.
Yeah.
You're not getting the things you want out of life and you're miserable. So it's like you can either stay in this space or you can accept that like you need to change.
Absolutely. I love that you acknowledge that because so many times when we're going through stuff, it's almost like, well, why? And I saw this guy, he went through tragedy, like almost his entire family got wiped out, right? And he did a speech and he was just like, when things happen, like you determine the why based on how you respond, how you react, and how you carry forward, right? So you turn in that, okay, this loss is a lot, but I have to keep going. And then you tied it into more meaningful stuff. It's like, because a lot of people, I feel like they don't talk too much about the internal things and our life outside of the sport and how those things impact or affect how well we do, on and off the court.
Yeah. Another thing that I say is that although we're basketball players, we're individuals first. So even though you spend 10,000 hours training or shooting, getting up shots, if you're not prepared mentally to go into the game and have a plan or just emotionally that day, maybe something bad happened to you, like, are you tough enough to put that aside for a second so you can focus on the task at hand? So like mentality is everything because if you don't have that in place, then you're not even going to play well in the game.
Exactly.
So that's why the nonprofit is focused on mental training and focused on helping them through their process. Because I mean, at this age, they're building who they are as women. Right. So I'm like, why aren't we spending more time on that as opposed to like just getting in the gym every day?
What's the age group?
So we work with anywhere from elementary to college. So I have girls that I worked with in middle school and high school, and they move on to college or pros, and I just stick with them because it's never ending, like the process is never ending. They're running into new challenges when they go to these new spaces, and you still need mentors to help you through that. So, yeah.
When you said pros, like the NBA, like not NBA, but the WNBA.
I have more girls that I connect with going overseas.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and that's a lot different than, I wouldn't say a lot different because, many WNBA women that play in the WNBA play overseas as well.
Right.
But there's a group that are like high-level elite basketball players that are going to go to the league. But then there's this other pot, which is bigger pot where you're probably not. So you need to make sure you get your degree. You should make sure you know what your passions are outside of basketball. You need to know what your plan is. If you want to go play overseas, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to go straight into working. And a lot of times, we're not prepared for that. We play basketball from being 8, 9 years old, some girls earlier, all the way up until you graduate college. Where's your job experience? Because that's what happens when, you graduate college and you try to get a job. They're like, okay, well, send me your resume. And the only thing we can put on there is that we were on different basketball teams. And, that's what we spend all of our time with. But the most important part is that everything that we learn as athletes is transferable to every job. I feel like that's the great thing about being an athlete. You learn how to be mentally tough. You learn how to take tough coaching. You learn how to build relationships and be within a team. So everything that you learn as an athlete can be transferable. You just have to know how to communicate to whatever industry you're going into, how your skills transfer to that, because they really do. But you're also not taught that either.
Right.
So it's like, where's the career planning?
Oh, that's where you come in. Yeah. That's where it's like, Bree, put me on.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I'm a deep person. So I like when we go deep to the meaning of things. Why are we doing what we're doing? And how it's going to be impactful for other people. We're going to take it back 2 notches because you said something about being a coach stretches you, right?
Yeah.
And I do believe that wholeheartedly. Before, because I dibble. I like trying things to see what works. I'm not afraid. Yeah. And so I took on something last year where I was growing my Instagram And it so happened to kind of turn into this whole mentor thing. It was interesting. Okay. It didn't last because I knew I needed to kind of reroute and focus on what I do as a realtor, right? A real estate agent here in Vegas. And so it didn't last. But what I took from it was the first time I was face first to somebody trusting me to help them. Yeah. But it also took like me being confident in myself. So like, I guess I'm trying to figure out like you being in that space when you got there and you're like, no, this is what I'm going to take on. What was your like confidence level? Or did you think I could really do this? Were you afraid? Like, what was that like?
So I think coaching, I mean, it is mentorship. You deal way, like when I graduated college, I went right into college coaching. A coach of mine, I played at the University of Arizona, and a coach there. So it's so interesting 'cause I have to go back even a little bit to building relationships. So the first coaching staff that recruited me, they got fired my junior year. So now here's a whole new coaching staff. So what I tell kids all the time is that no matter what your journey is, make sure you build relationships along the way, because wherever destination you're trying to get to.
Woo-hoo, that was so good, girl. Say that again.
Yes, build relationships along the way, because whatever destination you're trying to get to, those are going to be the people that you're going to reach back to ask questions, or they're going to put you in position to get what you need. Yes. And that is God giving you the people you need in your life. So I had coaches who were like, Bree, like you should go to this coaching clinic. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I love coaching. I know, basketball just comes easy to me. So cool. And when I went, this is what made me say, like, this is what I really want to do. Mm-hmm. So it was, I didn't even have a job yet. So I went without having a job or anything. And it's pretty much where all the coaches in the country go to connect and meet up with each other, talk about what they're doing with their teams. And they just like bounce ideas off of each other. And so at the end, my coach that sent me, she's like, just be prepared to sell yourself. Yes. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not a seller. Like, that's not my personality. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And she didn't tell me. She's just like, just be prepared. Like, have some stuff written down of like who you are and all those things. And I'm like, okay. So at the end of the clinic, the woman, she's a lawyer and she's really big in the industry. She played basketball in college, and what she done was she brought all of the people in the room, whether you're first year college, whatever. If you didn't have a job, she brought everybody up into the front of the room. She brought all the head coaches that were in the building, like on the, they had their own head coaching thing that they were doing. Brought all the head coaches, all the assistants that were there. So this is like almost every coach in women's basketball is in this room.
Wow.
And everybody that needs a job is standing up in the front in a line. She's like, I'm about to pass the mic down the line. Ooh. And you got 30 seconds to pitch yourself. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm like, I'm glad I wrote that,
down. Like, your coach.
Like, what would you say? And you only have 30 seconds. And I mean, all these big names are in here, and I didn't know what to say, so I just kind of like freestyled it. Mm-hmm. But it's like I said, like, it stretches you, and I was like, wow, like, this is way more than just the mentorship aspect. Like, I have to be comfortable in this space and comfortable speaking and comfortable like
confident
talking to anybody. Mm-hmm. Like, no matter if this is this coach just won the national championship, like, you have to be able to step into that space and have conversation.
Yes.
And so that is when I was like, oh, this is good for me. Like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
So I didn't shy away from it, and I definitely was scared, but I got my first job. And
from the clinic, from doing that.
So it wasn't actually from the clinic.
Okay.
But it definitely prepared me for that. So again, the people that you meet along the way put you in position. Mm-hmm. So one of my high school coaches, a friend of hers needed an assistant. And so she told her that I was getting into coaching, and that's who hired me for my first job. So I'm like, it's the relationships that you build. So you have to get yourself prepared. You do the work, but God is going to align you with somebody that gives you your opportunity. And that's how it always is. Yes. So, it's a long journey, but I definitely appreciate everybody that I've met, because they end up being family, like the relationships that you build. It's not just about, the positions that they're putting you in, but you have family for life.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Like, you said so many good things, by the way, because God is absolutely always in the mix, right? always aligning us, regardless if we see it or not. But being able to acknowledge it is going to help us, because then we're not thinking just short term. We're thinking long term, and how these people, the relationship that we build along the way, is going to do what we needed to do. So I just love that so much. But anyway, so now you're in, you went to the clinic, you got the job, right? I guess I'm saying now the transition into, all right, I'm going to, from this job, because what was the job was in the basketball field?
Yeah, so I was an assistant coach at Academy of Art University. It's a Division II school in San Francisco.
What?
Yeah.
Wait. So you did it virtually, or you went there?
Nope, I was there. Yeah. So it's so interesting. I think that taught me so much, as opposed to, like going to coach somewhere at like a bigger school or do a role that only has a couple things. Like when I was at Academy of Art, I had so many different roles I had to do at once, just because when you're at smaller schools, they don't have a big budget to be able to hire all these different people. So you have to do it. Right. And that's another way that you can, help yourself just progress faster or learn everything. Yeah. So when I was there, like I said, I was doing a little bit of everything. And then the coach was kind of going through some things like within herself. So, at that point, myself and the other assistant that was on staff, it was our first year coaching. And I mean, we took things on our shoulders and was kind of like, okay, you're here for me, I'm here for you. Like, because, you still have 12 girls
relying on you.
Yeah. And I think one of the girls was older than us. Like, she was a graduate. Yeah, she was a graduate student. So she's older than me, and I'm, sitting here talking to her, telling her what to do and get to class and all these different things. Yeah. So, I mean, me being younger and being able to relate to them, I think is my a part of, like my special, like my power, because I know what they're going through. I've been there, I've done it all. So I can kind of give them some perspective, not to say, that they'll take it, because sometimes it takes people a while before it clicks. But I like being on the front end of just planting that seed so it hits. Like, one day it's going to hit. Yeah. And I want to be at least somebody that helps in that process, because it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. All of the things that we do, to whether it be the military, being an athlete, it's more than just the thing. And that's with anything, like we said earlier. And I love how you acknowledge it and see that these girls need more, right? So now you went to San Francisco. Yeah. When did you come back to Vegas?
So I went from San Fran, then I got hired as a director of basketball operations in New Jersey. So I was at New Jersey Institute of Technology. And it's a Division I school, just like a lower level Division I school. And I was the director of operations for 2 years. Whew. And then in the second year, I had another opportunity again to kind of split some of my time between coaching and being the DOBO, because he knew.
What's a DOBO?
Director of basketball operations.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It's just shortened, so you don't have to say the whole thing. But the head coach knew that I wanted to be a coach. He just, didn't have a position at that time. And I was young, like I had just got into the business. And sometimes being like a DOBO or like a video coordinator or something else on staff just gets you in the door. So I done that. And that also helps you just to learn how to run a program. Right. Because as an assistant, so usually when you get on staff, everyone has their own list of job duties. And so as a DOBO, you're responsible for travel, you're responsible for meals, the budget, depending on like if you have that experience or not, and just pretty much running the whole program. You're like you're like the head coach's right hand, pretty much. Okay. And so I done that for 2 years, and then a little bit of coaching in there. And then after that, I coached at University of Northern Colorado, and then that was like all within COVID. So the second half,
you were actually traveling there.
Yeah. Wow. So, and that was a lot. That was in the middle of that was in the middle of COVID. And then by the time I got to UNC, we were like hybrid. We weren't really in the office, but we were there to play. Right. And so we were there for a year. And then after that, I went and I was the director of operations at UC Santa Barbara. And so, within like, I don't know, so this is 2018. 2018 to 2022, I coached at like 4 or 5 different places.
Wow.
So
talk about stretch.
So, and it's like every time you got to get up and move. Whenever you get hired, you got like 2 weeks to show up, get your stuff there. Like when I got hired at NGIT, I drove from Vegas.
Where NGIT? Oh, so you got hired in Jersey too?
That was my second job. So when I was in San Fran and I left that place, I didn't know if I was going to get a job. Like you're legit on the hunt and just building connections and working until you get that call and a coach offers you a position.
Right.
So when he offered, and I'm like, yep, I'll be there. I packed up my car and I drove to Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
it is a lot of movement, like moving parts, state to state.
But like you said, it stretches you because you have to be durable. You have to be able to be flexible to be able to get up and go and move, and like that. Yeah. That just builds resilience within yourself. Even if you're not thinking about it, it's just something that happens over time. So you're used to change. Because in the beginning of my journey, I hated change. Like that was really difficult. And now I'm in a profession where
you change all the time. It's like state to state, not even just little stuff here and there. Like you're moving state to state and not close to like Jersey, San Fran, here.
And then when I was in Santa Barbara, I kind of had an interesting time. I liked it, but I don't think I was really happy. And then it was so many things that went wrong. Like within 2 weeks, which is so crazy to think about it now, because there was something that I had on my heart that I wanted to do, which was I wanted to move back to Vegas. I wanted to start my nonprofit, and I wanted to coach high school girls because that stretches you in a different way.
Yes.
High school is a different age group than what college is. College girls have a little bit of experience, and it's a different relationship. In high school, you still have parents involved. High school girls are more building who they are. They don't know yet. Middle school, high school, elementary, they don't know who they are. So that's why I wanted to go back to the grassroots level to help, as opposed to being in college to where they already kind of are set in their ways a little bit.
Right.
So that's why I moved back here. And it's still crazy because I was talking with one of my mentors the other day, because a lot of times you don't know what's going to happen. And then things go wrong. And I'm telling you, it was like 3 or 4 things that happened within like a 2-week span. And then I left Santa Barbara and I'm like, okay, so maybe I find a different job. Like in coaching, do I want to stay in this space? Because coaching is more what people don't understand. Some people, coaching is way more than just the basketball piece. You have to be on a staff. You have those relationships. You have building relationships with like administration, those types of things, the everyday, work that comes with being in an office. It's the same as a 9 to 5. You just have, different responsibilities as far as basketball. So that's a lot. It's very demanding, but it's great. Like everything that you get back is definitely worth it, but it's a very demanding job. So I'm like, okay, so do I want to continue to do this? I'm on like year 5. Do I want to keep going? And then something in me, I was just like, I really want to start my nonprofit organization.
Girl, that's God.
And all those things that went wrong, and I'm crying, and I'm like, why is this happening? Like, I just want to figure out, maybe I do this or that. And then I called one of my mentors, and I was talking to him about everything that was happening. And then towards the end, I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. And he knows me. So he was with me when I was in college. So he's seen my journey from college up until that point.
Right.
And I'm like, so this is what I want to do for myself. And he was like, do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what if, like I know I don't have everything I'm supposed to have. He's like, so? Like,
yeah. Ooh.
And I'm like, but I'm also, I know what needs to be in place. Like, I'm not the type of person that's just like, I think the difference between men and women, men could not have anything on their resume that even aligns with this job. And if the guy says, can you do this job? They're going to say, yeah. Like that is kind of, women are more like, well, I have this experience, but I don't have, but I can figure it. No, the dudes are just like, yep,
this
hire
is what
me.
It is.
I can figure it out. So you kind of have to adopt that mentality, which I figured out like over time. So I pretty much was like, okay, well, I'm going to take a chance on myself and move back. So that's what brought me back. And
Which year when did you move back?
2022. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I've only been back for like 3 years, and it's so crazy because when I moved back, you know, I felt the weight lifted off my shoulders. I'm like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I've just
Girl,
learned,
at the right time too.
Yes.
I just got chills because I moved here in 2022.
Okay.
At the end of 2022, like November. So I don't know, girl, it's destiny. Now we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that happened 2022. You moved back, and you're like, I just want to address the fact that so many things could look like it's going wrong, right? Like, I don't know too much about the ins and the outs of what went wrong. We just know things are not going how we anticipated, right? And that always seems to be the turning point to the purposeful movement, because in 2022 was when I lost my trucking business. And girl, if I could cry out to God, like, what are you doing? Because this wasn't supposed to go like this, right? You're thinking this is going to be the business to break the generational curse. And here you are, truck repossessed, all these things, move back with your family. Like, I moved back in with my dad, my entire family, girl. So trust me when I say I understand and relate completely with things going left just so they could go right.
Yep.
And he repositions a lot. So all of that, what you went through, was for you to come back, be in Vegas, and start your nonprofit that is impactful. So I just love that piece of it, how God moves, right? So now we're caught up. You finally made it back to Vegas. Yeah. You started the nonprofit. What is it called again?
Master the Game LV.
Okay. Do you have like I mean, it's self-explanatory to some extent, but is there like something profound with you saying master the game?
Well, yeah, master your mindset, master your life, master the game. So a lot of people kind of, you know, in sport, everything is so sport specific. This is for football. This is for basketball. But everybody knows sport mirrors life. Life mirrors sport.
Yes.
So why I think mentality is so huge is because even in like my own experience, what I struggled with like in college and watching my teammates go through different things like within their family or, you know, just stuff off the court, I'm like, this is really where we need to be, because this carries over into life. Like, this basketball stuff doesn't. The ball stops bouncing at some point. And what are you going to do? And then also the things in your life that we use basketball to get away from. Like, basketball is usually like a refuge for players. We hit the court and you can just zone out. Nothing else matters. And I just hoop and I feel good. Like, usually going to the gym makes me feel better if I'm in a bad mood, you know? And so it's like some of us kind of use that as space to get away, but it's like, okay, there's some things you need to address within yourself. And it's important to acknowledge it. And sometimes it's just like, well, I'm just going to give everything I got to this sport, and everything bad that happens to me, or if I have different trauma in my life, it just goes through basketball, which is okay. It's like, it's an outlet, but when the ball stops bouncing,
what do you do with
it's
yourself?
still there. You're still going to have it, and it's going to come up in relationships. It's going to come up in different spaces in your life if you don't deal with it. Yeah. So it's everything that I went through that I'm trying to pass along.
That's amazing. And the nonprofit goes deep into the after effects, right? It's not just about, okay, we're hooping, we're having a good time.
It's more mental training. We have some basketball stuff in there, like basketball clinics, but it's more geared towards what you need to prepare, and it's more preventative measures. So I have like a guide to mental training. So right now, the middle schoolers or the elementary girls, they can use that right now to help build their habits, to help figure out what they like outside of basketball that brings them peace, figuring out how to love themselves, like what it means to know yourself and be confident in who you are. And like, you know, even though you go through challenges and life throws stuff at you that makes you question things, do you have something that you're rooted in, whether that's God or, you know, do you know who you are? Yeah. And we're learning that, of course, but it's way different. You're more susceptible to the influences around you and people just telling you stuff when you don't know who you are. You're like, absolutely. Okay, that sounds nice. She said maybe I should do that. Yeah. And then you just hop on, and now you're getting what somebody else told you, as opposed to, well, at least if I'm directing my steps, I'll get whatever consequences and I'll take it because I chose it. But when you're young, you can easily be swayed by what other people are dealing with. And most times they're treating you based upon their trauma.
Yes.
So it's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is
a lot, but
I told you before we started, you can
but in a good way,
ways,
but in a good way, man. One of the things that you said on the forum was that ownership equals freedom. How would you like break that down?
Yeah, I think so. When I was in college, and it was a lot. So it was very, I would say, hard to deal with relationships for me. Because again, like I lost my brother. So coming out of high school, I was very guarded. I was very closed off. And in college, it was hard for me to trust people, to build. And a lot of people, when they say like, oh, it's hard for me to trust, it's relationships, like it's, romantic relationships. It was hard for me to trust just somebody that I don't know, or maybe somebody that I do know, just sitting in front of my face, like as a person, just because of, the way my brother passed. So that's what I just carry with me. I'm like very skeptical of people, very like, okay, I see your representative, but I don't really know. So I would just rather not even engage. But then what you don't realize is that like you need engagement, you need relationships. Like we're human, like you need people, you need friends, you need whatever. And I was just like, no, I don't need none of that. Like, So in college, I struggled with friendships and all those things. And so I also went into an environment that wasn't really the best. And instead of me like affecting the environment in a positive way, I let it consume me. And so I couldn't operate in that space because prior to being in college, I was always around people that were very like about their business. And we didn't have anything like messy in high school. We didn't have like any of those issues like within the team. So I came from like a successful program. I can count on one hand probably how many games I lost. Wow. In 4 years of playing at my high school, and then to go into my college experience to where we were brought in to change an environment, but then the environment changed me. I'm like, that's not really, doesn't really show much strength. I'm like, so did I really know who I was, at that point? And so I'm trying to circle back to your question.
No, you're fine. Yeah. So just the ownership equaling freedom. Yeah.
So after going through all those challenges, my head coach at the time, she's like, you don't have to be around for the BS. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, and she's like, you don't have to stay in something negative just because it's negative around you. You can make the choice. If people are over here doing this, you can make the choice to separate yourself and move in your own lane. You don't have to deal with that just because you're in it.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, how am I, if these are the people that I'm around most of the time and I can't really control that because I'm on this team, then what am I supposed to do? And then as I got older, I'm like, I understand what she's saying. Like when you love yourself, you don't even have to engage. You don't have to deal with that at all. What you do need to do is wake up every day and eat breakfast. You need to get up and pray. You need to get up and do something productive. You don't have to engage in it just because that's your surroundings, know? And so ever since then, I'm like, that's the difference between like getting your goals or being a better person is like, I control me.
Right. That's the ownership aspect.
Yeah.
Like, and that freed you, you would say.
Yeah, because it's hard when I used to think being in that space, like these things are happening to me. People lie to me. I'm very like, I'm an honest person. Like I'm not like,
grimy, fraud.
No, at all. And I just have been around so many people like that. And I'm like, why are people doing this to me? Like I'm so, I'm so nice, but I'm like, well, it's probably why, because you're an easy target. But yeah, that's not who I am. So I found myself around all these types of people, and I'm like, okay, well, remember she said you can take ownership over your life. So if you don't want these people in your life, you can cut those people in your life, and you can decide who to pull back in. You can decide who to keep and who's for you and who's not for you.
Yep.
And it's hard, and I think that's the part, because then it's like, well, if I cut certain people out, now I don't have as many friends, or I don't have this relationship or whatever that was kind of holding me up a little bit because I'm not very happy. So if I cut them out, then it's really just me by myself, and I really have to like deal with me. But it's also the freeing part, because if you know that you have ownership over what happens to you, just as easy as you're saying, why are people doing those things to me? Like, you control the outcome though.
Right. Yeah.
So it's hard to put that on your shoulders of like accepting the responsibility for the things that happen in your life. But it's like, okay, yeah, things can go wrong if it's all on you, but it can go right too.
Yeah.
So I think we only see the negative. We only see like what we don't want to happen, but it's like, don't focus on the mistakes that could happen. If you put yourself in position and do the work that you're like, okay, one of my mentors said I have to do this to get to that space. Okay, focus on that. Focus on, all the things that put you in a good headspace, and you'll be fine. And mistakes are going to happen. You can't avoid mistakes, but that margin for error in your life, that's what we're trying to shrink. We're not trying to be perfect. Right. We're just trying to be better people and have good habits. So, and it's hard because when you're young, you're not
looking at things like so deep. But it's interesting how some of those things that we go through, or, if you didn't have a coach to say that, or if you wasn't in that space, you wouldn't have learned or even acknowledged that, okay, I have the power to do that, right? And now that mindset is obviously changed so much. Would you say like that mindset helped in your leadership to coach other women?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I say that all the time, or I try to figure out within the game things. Basketball is a game of runs. The other team messes up, you mess up, the other team scores, like whatever happens. Whoever wins is more about who makes less mistakes. That's typically the team that wins. Yeah. And so try to get them out of the mistakes happen and then you shut down. Or it's like, no, the name of the game is who can bounce back faster. Who can just forget about that just happened, because the game's still going. They're going down at the other end and you're over here like upset, shrugging, body language, shrugging your shoulders because you made a mistake, and they're off. And it's just like I said, just as easy as you made that mistake, or just as quick as you made that mistake, you can sprint down to the other end, play good defense, and get the ball right back. Yeah. Because they're human too, like they make mistakes too. If you work hard and you have like a dog mentality about you, to where you kind of just let go of the mistakes and you keep pushing forward, then you come out on top. Yep. So, but again, resilience. It's hard.
It's a buildup for sure. And I get that. And I see it on so many different, not obviously in the sports world, what I was in the military, in life in general, but you build up that resilience, because this is how it goes back to life, which is why what you're doing is so big and so impactful and purposeful, is because it's outside the game. It's about life. It's about you being able to, if you could bounce back and have that mindset in the game, bounce back in life, you know what I mean? And nothing can stop you at that point. Yep. So you're here now, you've took it on, you're like, I'm doing this. I started my thing, and you started that in 2022?
2022, and then I had a baby in 2023.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, so things went from like, okay, I'm doing everything that I want to do, and I also went and like coached at my high school that I played for. So
how was that?
That was big. So I actually coached with the coaches that coached me. Oh, so that was a big thing too. Like it was.
I know they were proud.
It was so cool, honestly, to be on the other side. Like I'm not a player now. I get to see everything that you say, and the things that really go on behind the scenes that like nobody can see. But as an adult, you make decisions for like the betterment of the group, even though they don't always understand, and kids don't always understand. Like you have their best interest at heart. So seeing that, like seeing them in a different way, and you can be more of like on the same level in a way. So I love that. But doing all of that, everything that I wanted to do, and then I got pregnant, and I feel like this kind of goes back to like having a vision for yourself, because I was so scared and nervous about going out and betting on myself, like with the nonprofit and coaching high school and all those things. And within those 3 years, I coached, I started my nonprofit, I found my person, I had the sweetest baby boy. And then a couple weeks ago, I got hired to coach at Sky Point, which is a charter school out here. So I'm now the head coach at Somerset Sky Point.
That's awesome. That's a high school?
It's a high school out here. And so I just think back to how nervous I was and like how scared about different things. But when I made the decision to trust myself and trust my instincts, like everything, like God just puts you in position. He really does. When you listen to his voice, it's like, just trust me. Just take that leap.
Yes.
And yeah, he gave me everything that I wanted and more, because I wasn't expecting the baby.
Girl, the blessings just keep on coming. And that's what I love, right? And I love acknowledging him. I love knowing that it doesn't matter how it looks, right? He knows how to make it all connect to where you needed that. Even if it's the worst thing, you needed that experience. It builds character. It's building your faith, your trust, whatever it's doing, you need it, right? So that's just amazing in itself. I did want to ask you for the next person or a woman that's listening, whether they're an athlete or not, or creative, an entrepreneur, what's one thing you would want them to know?
That you can have exactly what you want. I think it takes accountability, you thinking, what do I need to do to be prepared for the moment? Whenever God shows up, I want to be ready for that moment. I don't want to like miss it because I was scared or because I had too much going on to like take time for myself or be,
present.
And those things, honestly, the small things lead up to big things. So when you have little victories, then I think just being present in that and understanding that you control it. It's God too, but it's based upon the effort that you put into it yourself. The moment you start pointing fingers or saying that person did that, which, didn't allow me to do this, like, no, that's not the right space to be in. You take ownership, you take accountability for everything, and then you'll start to see things move in the right direction. And then also find mentors and make sure.
I did want to touch on that. Yes, good.
Make sure your mentors are across different industries, though. That's what I would say. Like, I don't just have mentors in basketball, and all my mentors are different. Like, my mom is a mentor for me. She's within like the business world, so she has a different perspective than, what I would. So she kind of has her mindset to what I'm doing, which gives me a different like view of how to attack different things. So I have coaches. I have like my mom, like my husband. He played overseas for a while. And so, he has different experiences too, and he's a man. So have like different people that have done different things. I have coaches that are moms, because that's another thing. I'm like, now that I have Kason and he's one, like, how do I do all those things and be a mommy at the same time? Like, I want to make sure I'm present for him. I already, experienced, like, as moms, we experience that guilt of like not being there all the time and all those things. So I'm navigating that right now and trying to figure out like how to best be efficient like every day.
Yeah.
And still show up for me, because that's hard too. Yeah. So I'm like, I have to get.
Can't forget you.
I'm breastfeeding, so it's like, how do I take time to just back away from the baby and be like, go with your dad so I can do these things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you need a team behind you for sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it sounds like you have a great support, and it's important when I think of the mentor aspect. I guess one of the things I always wonder is like, do you go out and put yourself like, I'm looking for a mentor, or you do that? Yeah,
I think it's a little bit of both. Some things happen organically, and then I think you should never be scared to put yourself out there. So coaching, that's why I say coaching really stretched me. So if you want a job in coaching, you need to email people. If you randomly see someone, I remember after I'd done that pitch that I was talking about earlier, like that, they made us do up in front of everybody. I was in an elevator with one of like the top schools, like top 5 school in the country for college girls basketball. I was on an elevator with one of their assistant coaches. So I played at Arizona. So of course he knew who I was, because, we played against them. So, they do scouting reports and all that stuff. So he recognized me, but they don't know you personally.
Right.
They don't, so in that moment, it was like awkward of like, do you speak? Do you whatever? But you have to train yourself that in those moments, that may be the last time that you see that person. Like, you never know. And you want to make a good impression, and not necessarily what can, you do for me. It's just like having something organic to where you want that person to remember you, because you might need them down the line. But
that one little rapport.
Because if they met you and they walked away thinking, oh, like that girl has some personality, or like, oh, like that is, whatever they think, if it's positive, I don't know, maybe 5 months later, a position on their staff pops up, reach out to them and they'll remember that moment, and that might at least get you through the door. Yes. So that's kind of like how you meet people. And then sometimes, like, I know some people, there are different things like you can look for. Like if you find people, like I know, I'm trying to think, maybe the WBCA, that's the women's basketball conference. They usually have like mentorship opportunities where they actually connect coaches with younger coaches in the business that are coming up or doing different things. Like if it's your niche to be operations, like Adobo, or if you just love studying film and video and stuff, and they connect you. So there are different types of like mentorship programs out there too. But I mean, sometimes you just got to be blunt with it. Like email that coach and say, I need a mentor. I'm looking for a mentor.
Yeah. And I think that can go with anything, like if you're looking for an entrepreneurial type of coach, maybe, I don't know, scope the internet, see what's out there, right? I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. Yeah, I think that's the important thing. There's so many things, girl, as you talk, I'm like, oh, I want to hit on that, like, but then I forget. But no, you mentioned the mentor and how important it is. So I'm glad we kind of went back to it, because it is important. And I think it's definitely beneficial, right? A lot of, like you said, not eliminating mistakes, but less of it is great. So having that mentor in myself, I'm like, I might need to get a mentor. I have one mentor outside of like people that I would consider mentor, like a legit person who actually does this for a living. And I'm like, okay, I've gotten good feedback. But anyways, the point is, guys, don't be afraid. Seize the opportunity, right? Because I always lead with this. You put yourself in the space by being obedient to what God says, and the Holy Spirit will do the rest. You'd be surprised. Somebody just says, I love your energy. Like,
and that's it. Yeah, that's all they...
You do? You're going to call me? Right? Like, you don't know what you're unlocking. Yeah. So in that moment of wanting to be afraid, like it's that verse, right? God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power. So just move forward in it, do it, and let the Holy Spirit do the rest.
Yeah. And I will say, like, sometimes you will, meet those people that are kind of standoffish or they don't want to talk to you. And I would say don't care about those people. Just keep going, because the more you put yourself out there, the people that are for you will attract to you. And then you'll know, and you'll kind of see like the energy, you'll peep it quick. Yeah. And you'll be like, okay, then I at least know how to handle that person. But like, I want to be over here in this lane. And then you just just build like your circle, and then those are the people that you kind of all like help each other, uplift each other over time, and then connecting, connect your mentors with the other mentors and everything. Like that's just building community.
Absolutely. And Vegas, I'm glad you moved back in 2022, because right now when it comes to building community, just building overall, Vegas is doing it. I mean, we're finally catching up, and I'm so happy to be here at this time, because I could just see it fast forwarding, I don't know, 5-10 years from now, just being, this big boom, right? One question when it comes to Vegas, have you find it difficult to kind of find those people that can push your dream or your goal forward in this space as far as the nonprofit?
Yeah. Sometimes I think basketball takes up so much of like my time daily that I don't have opportunities to come. Like sometimes I'll see like different networking events and like stuff like that. But because I'm out of town or because I'm, whatever, I don't have time to make it there. But I do have some women that are out here that are doing amazing things that I try to stay connected with. And if they have anything, I try to show up for them and just be there and just meet anybody. It's a little difficult, but I also think sometimes it's just not in your space either. Like I just joined this like group chat of moms out here in Vegas, and I'm like, okay, we are doing it. Like so many moms in the chat, just do a range of things, like stay-at-home moms that have like 3 businesses, or like, you know. And so just connecting on something like being a mom just introduced me to, like, I think there's like 300 people in the chat, and we all just have different spaces that we want to, you know, talk about, whether it's our kids or just like how to balance everything. So it's like, it doesn't have to be somebody that is in your industry that gives you game and like helps you get through everything
at all. Because remember, it goes back to life. All of the things that we do ultimately goes back to how we maneuver through this, right? So I love the connection. I love what Vegas is, where it's heading, where it's currently at. And I'm just excited, you know. So where can people find Bree?
Yeah. So my personal Instagram is Coach Bree with 3 E's and an underscore. And then the nonprofit Master the Game LV.
Okay, Master the Game LV. That's the nonprofit.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this has been great. I feel like we unlocked a lot of good gems as it relates to sports, as it relates to anything, really. Think about it. We need to have the right mindset, right? We need to get mentors. We need to build that relationship. We need to get ownership of ourselves, right? And that becomes freeing. I love your story. I love what you're doing. I love what you stand for. And I just love how God is moving in your life and how you're, you know, having that faith-based aspect of things. So you're welcome, guys. That's it for Vegas Unmuted season 2. We're going to finalize the show, guys. So if you're new here, subscribe. If you're not, thank you for sticking around and staying with us. We look forward to the new episode dropping next Thursday. All right, guys, we're out.